second question. How can the city support the CHUH schools as a community asset and a means to attract and retain families?
I think that we have to do that on a very personal level, very personal decision. I think that Lita Gonzalez's PATH program, you're probably familiar with all that. I think she's really stepped up. I think she saw that need, and I think she said, I want to address it. Again, it's trying to personalize the experience. So I think that kind of thing is important. When people come to town, people move in an area, or they're considering if we need to have a get-together periodically where prospective homeowners come and they meet city council, they meet principals, whatever we need to do to make that connection. Like I said, I think Lita's organization is trying to do that, but we have to do more of that, because that's the level at which people connect. You know, oh, you're going to be the principal, my kids are going to go to your school. You know, I think that would help. I think too that we have to send out the message that everybody's accountable. City government's accountable, school board's accountable, teachers, but so are children and families. Everybody's accountable. If things don't go well in the school, everybody's responsible for that. I think we have to have that message sort of permeate the atmosphere. You know, we're serious about this. We're moving forward. Everybody's going to be held accountable. I think that could help too. But the schools have come a long way. They really have. It's heartening to people, I think, to watch. I think what they have tried to do. So I think they deserve a lot of credit. They shouldn't be our whipping boy.
Thanks. Hi, Fran. I'm Mike Murray.
Hi,
Lifelong resident and graduate of Cleveland Heights High as well. The fiscal viability of our city government is critical to our success. The recent defeat of an income tax increase followed by the housing and employment crisis have diminished tax revenue and increased community needs. What do you believe will make our city government more financially sustainable?
Well, I wrote a letter to the editor that was published in the Sun Press saying I didn't think that we should have had that tax increase. That was a different world back then, but because money is necessary but not sufficient. So what are we going to do? We have to have some, but what are we going to do? The first go-to is, of course, what people are talking about. You have to partner, you know, economy of scale, efficiency. An example, my husband was born and raised in Altoona. We were talking about this, and he said, well, Altoona now, they have a I don't know what you call it, factory. They have a system where they burn their garbage and they generate energy from it. Now, Altoona's certainly not doing that by themselves. Cleveland Heights does not have enough population or enough monies to do that. But again, this is the big picture, that you take advantage of whatever federal funds that there are, that you work collectively for economies of scale. So I think those are some of the things we can do. Back to the commercial sites, or the vacant storefronts. The whole thing goes back to the strategic plan. Maybe we need to really reduce or reconfigure them to make them more prosperous. But most of the money, does come from residential. And people don't care about paying a lot for something, including where they live. If they like it, if they feel they're getting the bang for the buck, people will do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's not, that's really not the problem. The other thing is, I want to dig in to the budget. I tried to dig into the budget as an individual. You can write to Mr. Malone. God love them all. I'm not criticizing, whatever. But you can't really get your hands on that information. There's these personal lines. You don't know what's in that personal line. The whole thing about, I think it was $333,000 they were able to reduce from the fire department. Now, how can you reduce $333,000 from the fire department? I mean, I don't understand what was going. There's always inefficiencies. Are we at the point? Are we maybe someday going to have to raise the taxes? I don't know. It very could happen. And I think that's fine if we are getting, like I say, our bang for the buck. But you have to do all those things. You have to squeeze out efficiencies. Mm-hmm. You have to, partner to reduce your own costs. And you have to make it really, you have to entice people to live here. And they will bring their dollars and they will, get our engine going. But a lot of that, and that's not just city council, that's everybody working together. But it's doable. None of this is new. By the time you get to my age, you understand deeply that there's nothing new under the sun. I mean, it's, you think it is, but it's pretty much maybe a variation on a theme.
Okay. The current housing crisis creates an immediate threat to our neighborhoods and our financial viability. What do you believe City Council should do to address the crisis that can transform these vacant properties into an asset?
Again, we're back to the strategic plan and the reconfiguration. Some of that, like I say, some of that is washing out. But what we have to have just to be smart and to move toward the future, we have to set up, I think, a historic preservation code. I think that when you read about it, that does have a positive impact on those neighborhoods and on the surrounding neighborhoods. I think it would set a set of aesthetics, I think a standard. I think that would be helpful. I feel more, to tell you the truth though, I feel more optimistic about that. But again, if we look at the strategic plan, what you're concerned about, I think I'm primarily concerned about certain sections of the city which are very close to where I live. And there is some housing stock. There are some streets that have a lot of vacant properties. We could do the same thing that they've done in what they do, Cuyahoga County and the land bank. So I think we can do all those. We could do all those things. I think that though I feel optimistic about that. I really do. People will say you have to really get on landlords. That we have a fine housing code, but that we really have to be stringent about enforcing it. And we're back to personal responsibility. I am the dog walker. I walk around. For years I was walking around fuming. Even in the winter, my feet would have hit the pavement because I was so mad. I just looked to see what was going on. One time, I looked, there was a house and the garage, which was already boarded up. Somebody had cut out a piece of the board and they were entering the garage. So I thought, well, certainly the neighbors are going to call about that. I've gone places where they had the aluminum siding ripped off. I think, oh, well, the neighbors are going to call about that. Well, the neighbors don't call about that. And I think, again, that people have to step up. You have an empty house next to you. I know there's all these concerns. You should kind of babysit it. You're not responsible. You should kind of babysit it. Well, I finally called the city and I said, there's this big hole in the garage. Obviously, people have removed it so they can get in. Lickety split. Rick Wagner sent somebody down. They fixed it. I think I called the police, and then I called Rick Wagner. But that's the other thing. I said, well, did the police tell you about this? But anyway, they responded. But that's the other kind of thing. Why are we letting this happen in our neighborhood? I don't get that. I don't get that. And that's why, we started the Severance Neighborhood Organization. I'm like, why would you? So anyway, you can see I hear about that.
Yeah.
Quite a bit. But the housing's going to be, we can do all those things. But it's going to work out. That's going to work out. We have things in place. So,
Thanks.
get on it.